Welcome back to Active Minds Podcast. Today's episode is going to be, a fucking blast. So we're going to be focusing on It Takes a Village. That's our topic/theme, and it's going to be all about community and leverage. And if you've never watched before, never heard before, Active Minds Podcast, where we focus on learning and exploring life and business through the perspective and lens of people who are paving their own lane. Then we have a little fun. We brainstorm to see what their life lessons can do for us, you, the viewer, and most importantly, the whole reason for this is so that we can move smarter together. Today, I'm joined by Benny Bills, a young connoisseur, technically a hacker of sorts that figured out a long time ago how to finagle the ads managers for a few social media platforms, and basically what would normally cost you $10,000 to promote, he figured out how to do it for $5. So that has obviously led him to where he is today. And I know we can get into that a little later, but specifically as a growth hacker, I'm excited to talk to you because we focus on people and behavior and community. And that's something that for you has given you just an abundance of opportunities and exploits and money, of course. But obviously, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
and let's get right into it, man. Community. What does it mean to you, one? And number two, why do you think that you're doing so well when it comes to community building?
So, hey guys, I'm Benny Bills. So, to me, a community, it should be something that's raw and it has people sharing. It has people giving without expecting in return. It should be a place where if you fall, there's other people that can help you. And I'm sorry, what was the second part of that question?
Why do you think you keep having success with community?
I think it's because, like, I'm really blunt and upfront, which sometimes can be a bad thing, but
True.
I think a lot of times it's that same kind of like what's the word, transparency that allows for me to continue growing. My company, it's called Glitch Media. I started it pretty much it started last year, but the real kickoff to it was the beginning of this year. And since founding it, like just building the team that we built, it's honestly really crazy because everyone is just kind of joined together, and it actually feels like a real team. It feels like there's people that really care about the company and the success and moving forward with it. So that's, I guess, to me, that's been the most important part of kind of the community that we built. It's been the team behind it.
Now, I'm taking notes as you're talking because, like, a few things come to mind, and you and I can definitely resonate on a few notes. Would you say that your community that you're building, and by the way, if he hasn't mentioned it yet, and I think you're pretty humble for not mentioning it, you've achieved 3,000 business people, entrepreneurs, dreamers, doers, etc. in this community. So come on, dude, like, you got to give yourself a little credit for that. I mean, I like the fact you're like, okay, but like, dude, like, that's a pretty good number. The average company right now got really enamored with the idea of community, and they started touting like, oh, we're community, and it started replacing, let's call it what it is. They started cheating. So they started calling their followers their community. That's not the same thing, dude. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
What's the difference in your opinion between followers and community?
Well, I mean, a follower doesn't necessarily gain anything from following them.
Yeah. Well, on the topic of that, you're young. If you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 19.
Oh, yes, I fucking love it. Okay, what was one of the first communities that you became a part of?
So when I was 14, I joined a Discord group for selling sneakers. I'd been selling them on my own since I was 12. It wasn't just sneakers, it was coins too. But when I turned 14, I found this Discord. It was called Endurance. Shout out Endurance. But no, it basically, the owner, he just brought everyone together and was giving free value on YouTube. And just for the reason of doing it. He ended up making millions off the community, just charging for access.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, he literally made so many people so much money. And I saw like firsthand, dude, every time he was in the chat, like he was dropping value and people respected it and people respected him. And it was like, everyone was just like, you know, sharing and giving. And I guess that was kind of my first big experience with it.
It's funny that you say that, because like that's been my biggest problem with Instagram. Like I liked Instagram. It was very good to me, but selfishly, I kept going back to Slack. I kept going back to Discord. Because, like, I grew up with forums. Like, we're talking 4chan, 8chan, Reddit. I can keep going. B20 VTech, you know, Mercedes. I can give all these forums. And what I miss about those forums and why I keep going back is, like, I'll give you an example. A few years ago, I had a CLK 55 AMG car community. And I remember they quoted me, like, $1,100 to fix it. And I was like, dude, I could fix it myself. I spent like $700 on a part. I fixed it, and I documented the process. And I shared it on the Mercedes forum. And all the people were just like, oh, thank you so much, whatever. You get like your bonus points, whatever. And then like I knew that a few days later, someone else is going to do the same thing. And like that's what's missing right now from social media, ironically, right? Reddit obviously nailed it. But the way that you're approaching it, it's almost like, I know you're technically younger than I am, but it's like you're bringing that back into style. Because you're having the success you have because you're doing the exact same thing. I know we said we were going to get into it, but when you found the exploit, right? By the way, an exploit is when you find a hack to something and you document it. You found the exploit and you didn't start charging for it. You did what?
I gave it away for free. I mean, so, all right, here's kind of the thing. With that, I mean, you know, obviously it was something that I'm really glad that I gave it away for free. It's done me really well. I think a big part of that was probably the karma aspect. But, I mean, like you said, you basically told everyone for free, same thing, how to fix it themselves.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Isn't it a good thing that people were then sharing it, even if they were just doing it so they would get their own clout, even if they were just doing it so they would seem like they were the one who figured it out or they were the one that whatever. Yeah. I mean, it's still a good thing because you were helping people out.
That's true.
I mean, some of like, I think like the most life-changing thing about the whole process that has kind of undergone since I released that, the most life-changing part was that like now I get texts where it's like, dude, I was in a really bad place, and if it wasn't for you, then I wouldn't be where I'm at. And like that kind of stuff, like that motivates me. I don't care about, dude, I'm doing my own businesses. I could literally take that motivation and put it into a plethora of things. So
that's true.
I guess to me, like that's kind of like what has really been fulfilling about this.
You know, I got to say, at your age, the one thing that's cool to see is the fact that you're seeing it that way. Because, like, okay, being in the digital space, I've met many, many people. And one of the things that keeps happening is, like, I don't know if you're doing this on purpose, but the way that you're operating sets you up for the long game. So that when you're 29, you're still getting paid the residuals off of what you're doing at 19. And I kept running into people that, like, oh, it's a fast dollar today. But if you're familiar with CAC, cost of acquisition, that cost of acquisition keeps getting higher and higher and higher and higher if you're like a mercenary. But your approach is like the long game. I mean, I know that Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this a million times, where he's like jab, jab, punch. You've essentially adopted it to your own, obviously, for your own practices. What is your Discord community focused on, if you don't mind me asking?
So it started as just TikTok ads. Right? Like that's it. I literally started it in...
What's your Discord community called?
Well, it's called the Glitch Cord.
The Glitch Cord. And the Glitch Cord.
Yeah. So, no, basically I started it last October because I launched a course, right? And 6 people bought it. It was great. 6 people bought it. And, nice. Or actually, I think it was September. But right after I launched it, literally like those 6 people, we hopped on calls every single week congruently until then when I found the glitch. I gave it away. My personal brand grew really, really fast, like, to be honest. Like I had never seen anything like that before. And after that, I guess we just kind of maintained the same level of like professionality. And since then, I guess it's kind of molded into now we're helping people with all kinds of different stuff. There's like tax help. There's stuff like Snapchat ads, Facebook, how to build a store, CRO, emails, SMS, like all those kind of things. And then we'll do like weekly calls, bring people on and talk about whatever the subject is. So we actually did bring like a couple people that were like almost billionaires on. It was really cool. It was.
I know
like
we
the
have to be
perspective.
careful with about certain names because certain things haven't been ironed out. But like this has put you in front of like well-known rappers, well-known artists,
Yeah.
well-known celebrities that are now looking to you at 19 years old, like Benny Bills, put me on. I know. There's limitations
No,
to what
well,
we can say.
One thing I really want to say is like, I mean, so to get to that point, that was like a different battle altogether. I had to do so much free work. I had to like help people in different ways. I had to do stuff I necessarily didn't want to do. But then like that put me in the on like at the tables with the people that were already
That's
connected, and then that kind of made that happen. But you know, I guess like recently one of the big things that I'm really excited about going forward is we have a collab with Chris Long, who's the guy that recorded the Juice WRLD documentary, and just all of the influencers on that, like they're all A-list celebrities, and it's just absolutely insane that
All
like
through
that.
the community.
Yeah, well, and the work paid off, right? Like that's
yeah.
that's the
That's a nice
the
ROI.
beautiful part. Yeah,
that's a nice
It's
ROI.
A nice ROI. Exactly.
Yeah, it's a nice ROI. So like I'm gonna summarize this later, but there's a fine little point here, and the fine little point is, and I'm biased because I'm a product of that. Is like, so you give your IP, your intellectual property, and then you give it a little love, and you but specifically to a certain community. Either you're the one who's built that vibe and tribe, or you're part of a vibe/tribe that you give that to, and the ROI on things like that are astounding. Like, I guess I'm also I'm a little selfish when I say this way. Like, I would have never been put in front of Harley Davidson if I hadn't helped this person. And like, it's funny too, because you said like, oh, I did things I normally wouldn't want to do, when I normally wouldn't do. And it's funny because like at the moment you're like, fuck, am I really doing this for free?
Yeah.
But then you get in front of like in another room, another position, you're like, oh shit, that was totally worth it. Let me shut up. And it looks like you're benefiting from that. What are some of the things? No, let me rephrase that. In your opinion, in your experience, when you're doing something that you normally wouldn't do for free, what are you telling yourself? What does that look like to you? Like, how are you deciding to do it for free?
I mean, I think about things like there's unlimited growth as long as it's free.
Mm-hmm.
And although sometimes you do have to monetize, especially if the value is there.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you're paying a bunch of employees to be involved in something,
Holding costs,
of course you have to monetize it. You won't be able to keep it up forever.
Yeah.
It's impossible. But I feel like, to me, I really like giving things away for free that nobody else will. That literally anyone else in my position wouldn't, because it makes people surprised.
How do you choose who to give it to for free though? Because like in my experience, and I've had to learn, I've had to come to terms with this. I noticed that when I gave the free things to the wrong crowd, it undervalued me. Whereas when I gave the exact same information to a different crowd, now I'm the shit. Like I'm getting like completely different results. What has it been like for you? Like, how do you decide what to do, who to give to?
Well, see, in my position, I haven't really had a choice whether it's the right crowd or the wrong crowd.
Okay.
It's just kind of both. And that's the thing. I've had a lot of people that have literally taken my exact strategies and posted them under their name or sold them under their name.
Wow.
And dude, it literally like whole communities formed just around, stuff that they could have got for free anyway. Yeah. But I guess to me, the thing about that is, at least now, when those people find out, the people in that community find out that person didn't really come up with it, then they're devalued. And so it's just kind of a long play. I mean, honestly, like every time that I've released something that's happened, they'll post it somewhere else. They'll act like they came up with it. But if you release it to as many people as possible, then the credibility is just there. And as long as you keep proving to them,
So they played themselves.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And as long as you keep proving to them over and over that, not to say it like this, that you're the shit,
Yeah.
then everyone will eventually get used to it.
I like borrowing from different industries, and one thing I noticed is, like, for example, let's take like Guy Fieri, Emeril Lagasse. I can keep going on and on, but all these famous chefs, like, they'll show you the recipe, right? But what's missing is them, right? And it sounds like you've learned that lesson too, because I mean, I've been a witness to it. I've been a witness to where somebody will take what you did and run with it, and then, like, very quickly people realize, like, oh shit, like, they can't keep that momentum going. So, like, a copycat almost becomes like your free ambassador. And that's the irony of it all, is like they're doing it to obviously do whatever the hell they're doing. I'm not in the world, but inadvertently they end up making you look better, you know? And what was the last time that you've noticed that happened for you?
Happened like 2 weeks ago or a week ago.
Take us to that day, man. What happened? What was it like? What was going on?
Well, see, again, this is another situation. I don't necessarily want to throw out names or whatever.
No,
like,
zero names. We're just gonna tag them.
It was just it was something that definitely that person should not have taken credit for.
Okay.
But they did. I'm not worried about it, and even bad an eye, because I'm just used to it. And it's like, honestly, I think a big part of it is, I mean, I know I'm not going to be in the drop shipping, e-com, like warehouse kind of thing forever. I'm a big believer in tech. So ultimately, like, I don't really even care at this point. I'm gonna just keep doing my thing, and whatever they're gonna do, they're gonna do it. I mean, there's always gonna be those people. You really can't, like.
What was it? Sorry, my English is horrible today. What was it that they ran with and said that there was their own?
It was a strategy, exactly mine.
Oh.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah, that doesn't last long.
Yeah, it doesn't last long. They actually last like a few weeks once everyone has them. So
Damn.
it's like, yeah.
Damn. So back home we call that papi bulto. Papi bulto literally means daddy book bag, if I'm transliterating, and it's a Mr. Me Too. And the problem with being a Mr. Me Too is that you constantly have to feed off of everyone else. So obviously that doesn't really last long. You know what I mean? So, like, that person that ran with your idea as their own, it's probably not going to be easier for them to get access to you again, is it?
Of course not. And also, I mean, dude, when that's gone, then they don't have anything. So at least I know I got 10 strategies in my back pocket and a team that supports me and 5 other businesses. Like, dude, that's what can I say?
You played yourself. Oh shit, that's so funny. I know we're laughing at it at the same time, but at the same time, it's hard not to laugh at it, you know? And when it comes to, I know that you said you started with the sneaker community. Obviously, now you're moving on to other ones. What does it look like, man, as you're looking for the exploit? What do you tend to look for?
So it's push and pull factors.
Okay.
So this is relative. Now, this is talking about ads, right? Now, I've found exploits in a lot of different like not ad platforms. And one thing I really want to touch on, people don't stop and think about this, but the internet was built by people.
Yeah.
Everything that you see around you was built by people. So just like anything, there's going to be flaws.
You don't hack the machine, you hack the man.
Exactly. There's flaws in literally everything. And so ultimately, it's like, I look for in ad platforms specifically, I'll look for the push factors that are going to make something spend more and the pull factors that are going to reduce the spend. I'll find the healthy medium and I scale that, because ultimately, like the TikTok one, for example, which I don't have a problem sharing it, we would put a lot of ad groups into a campaign, and then it would be like a couple $100,000 worth of ad groups, and then you would put a $50 budget on it, spend the 50 instantly, and then every time that you raised it, they would all try to spend at once. And I think part of this is because, I'm not going to lie, and I'm going to sound a little bit weird saying this, but I view the algorithm almost like it's a living thing. I view like every ad algorithm, because ultimately it's like, if you tell them all to spend right now, they're all going to rush at it. They all have $10,000 budgets. There's a ton of them, and they're all going to try to spend. But of course, if it's only raised by a few bucks, they're all going to try, and then they're going to stop. And also, I noticed that it would spend before it actually spent a penny. So you would get like 1,000 impressions before it reached a penny. So it was like, ultimately, you didn't really have to spend anything. And the bump, which is what we call them when you raise the budget, the bump was completely like besides the fact. It was the fact that they were all starting that really made the traffic come. So
the novelty of it, because that's get pushed. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud. That gets pushed because it's you just spent money, so they're gonna prioritize getting you that quick win to keep you spending.
And also because there's hundreds of them. So since there's hundreds of ad groups, if you view it like personification, I mean, if there's a bunch of hungry people and you're holding up a piece of bread, they're all gonna race to it.
Play the man, not the odds. That should have been the title, dude. Play the man, not the odds. So what you started you started this exploit/hack. What was the result of that?
I mean, I bagged up on it real quick, and then after I gave it away, got credibility, got a nice sized community, met a lot of connections. Then also I built kind of what we have now, which is Glitch Media, which now we have a app for UGC creators where
UGC is user generated content, by the way.
Yeah, and basically they record TikTok videos and take product photos for brands, and then the brands are in my community, so it kind of works out. And then we also have a VA hub because my COO, he's from the U.S., but he moved to the Philippines, and he's hired 22,000 employees for different companies since he's lived there. Nice. And so now, like, we have all of them to hire out to any companies that need them, and they're all vetted for their positions. So I guess, like, the glitch, it started that in a way that I met the connections and I gained the confidence of what I already knew to be true, but I just had to verify it, that I could build something like that. And when I look at, like, Facebook, for example, they took forever to monetize. They took forever to like build to the certain place where they were comfortable monetizing, because they knew that if you reach a certain threshold, then you're there forever.
That's true. That's why they started throttling us. Like, there were people, like, I have a buddy who had like a 1.5 at the time, and yeah, dude, he went to like 7% reach. So he's like, oh, let me just go harder on like the paid shout out so I can get bigger audience. He's playing the numbers game, and now he's at, I think he's just surpassed like 6 mil, but he's still only reaching like 4 to 5%, you know. And I mean, yeah, fucked up, but it's the reality of it. Do you think that how long do you think it's going to take for TikTok to eventually turn into what they set out to destroy, i.e. IG, Facebook?
Well, I don't think they set out to destroy them. I think they set out to win. I think they wanted to do the exact same thing. They saw it work and they said, we're going to do that. Actually, you know, I want to talk about this for a second.
Okay.
The reason that I even was looking for exploits in the first place is because last year I got an account suspended on TikTok ads with $25,000 in it, and they kept all of it. And I could never get it. I literally have the highest level reps at TikTok, can't get a penny of that back.
They kept $22,000?
25, yeah. And then that wasn't the only account too. They kept one with 7K, they kept one with like 4K, and then they kept a bunch of smaller ones. They did this to everybody. Everyone who was on ads like back in the day, you can't access it. And also, like, when they suspend an account, it's literally like they suspended that account 2 minutes after I added $20,000 to the balance. So it wasn't about the creative. It wasn't about the ad I was running.
Holy shit.
I'm sure they have a department for that, but maybe they don't anymore. I mean, they're about to go for an IPO, so hey, maybe it's great that this is out there. But ultimately, that's why I set out to find exploits. But I do believe that TikTok will very shortly become that. But
how long do you think we have until we get there?
I mean, maybe a year,
Okay.
maybe somewhere around there.
Party's over after a year.
It
Goddamn.
doesn't really matter though, because that's the thing. Once something becomes mainstream, it's not cool anymore. Once it's not cool, then people are on to the next.
Isn't that ironic though, like how that works? Once it goes mainstream, it's played out. Then we're on to the next one. Like LinkedIn right now is hella undervalued.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like
Oh, yeah.
we were just having a conversation earlier. Like some guy like hit us up. Long story short, we were having a conversation with him, and like the magnitude of power and access and capital that this guy had, we're like, what the fuck? We're on the wrong platform. Like seriously, dude, we're talking like very big numbers. Whereas on IG, like there's something, you ever heard of the term status games?
Enlighten me.
Okay, so status games are I'll start here. So status games are clout chasing.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so status games are clout chasing. Let's just say it in a different way. And the problem with status games, it's like buying friends. It gets expensive. The more expensive it gets, it becomes a race to zero. So when you play different games, let's call it chess moves, your ROI is a lot higher. The problem though is that with status games, the allure is so like enticing. Like, oh my God, look, I have 50,000 followers. I have 30,000 followers, whatever. So people tend to gravitate towards that, like moths to a flame or moths to the light that zaps them. And the problem with that is that that has now become mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
It's become mainstream to clout chase, and that's why I like your approach. Your approach is like, while they're all doing that, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, exactly.
What would you say if, let's say, we were sitting down to talk about, where to go next? How would I avoid, not me personally, but how would the person watching this avoid falling into the trap of mainstream or clout chasing?
I mean, to me, like, I guess, so just a little background.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started ecom, it was 2019. I didn't really try,
Mm-hmm.
right? I was just kind of, I was selling shoes still. I was just kind of doing my thing, right? But then, like, partway through 2020, when I really started trying and I really started, like, kind of getting used to it, I probably should have, but I didn't watch any YouTube videos. I didn't ask for help. I literally just played around
Mm-hmm.
and wasted money until I figured some shit out. So to me, like, since I first really started focusing in ecom, and it wasn't until like the end of 2020 when I really started seeing success in ecom.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess like since the very start, I didn't really use other people's stuff. So to me, I guess it's just like sometimes you really like, because when people go out and give info, they're giving it for a reason. They almost always have ulterior motives.
Lead gen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it's like you've got to take that with like, I mean, I'd say a grain of salt, probably a couple of grains of salt. They'll tell you opposing things.
Listen twice. Who's saying it and what they're saying.
Yep, and why they're saying it. Yeah, no.
Sign up for my course. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's, I guess, to me, that's kind of my advice would just be like, you're a human and you have a brain, so use it. I don't know. I mean, maybe not use it like in a way that like, I don't know. You just can't expect people to give you the golden ticket because there's a million golden tickets. You just got to find one that's
true.
It's not already being exploited or already, I mean, that's if it's glitches.
Have you ever heard of or read Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon?
Mm-mm.
The name of so Steal Like an Artist is a book by Austin Kleon, and to basically paraphrase / summarize, he goes on about how like there is no originality, and you take from here, you take from there, you bring them together, and you add your own special sauce, and that is literally how everything is created. And it's funny because you said that you didn't bother looking at YouTube or any of these other universities like Google University. You just through trial and error came to your own conclusions. Ironically, though, your community and the people that followed you were taking from you and running with it on their own. And the term derivative means it comes from everything is a derivative of derivative of derivative. So when you look at your students, when you look at your community, what are some of the ways that you've noticed that they've taken what you did but improved on it?
So to date, I haven't really seen somebody who found another like legit glitch. I mean, we've found a couple, but like I haven't seen anyone that's actually found one that was their own and released it and like whatever. But in terms of like just everything that I've seen members of my community build, it's honestly amazing. I've seen kids that literally hadn't even hit a 1K day grow up until they were hitting, you know, consistent like 20, 30K days.
Nice.
Just literally from, I mean, they took the info, they took a lot from the CRO, a lot from different strategies. They took a lot from the product research. We focus a lot on that, which I feel like there's too much focus on that. I say that a lot because
on
it's
product research?
Yeah, because the product, I mean, it matters, but not that much, because it's like ultimately the angle is what matters more. People like my first winning offer was buy one get four free, and it's hilarious. There's no way they would have wanted that product.
Yeah,
but they saw the offer and they wanted the offer.
Whoa, wait. If you're watching this and enjoying it, press pause for a second. Go to activemindsclub.com. Again, activemindsclub.com.
Here you will have membership access to our exclusive networking events, as well as behind-the-scene access to our guests where you yourself can ask them questions.
Not to mention, at these events and in the community, you're going to have access to the very mentors that are here sitting with us, as well as many, many more that are doing cool things in stocks, marketing, cars, real estate, where we're going to have you have access to education, insights, how-tos, all things that you can apply to your life and business. It's like those people that did, I have a few friends who did this, where they would like, this mug, it's free, just pay for shipping and handling.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. What was that product?
The octopus plushie.
Plushie.
Reversible
oh shit, dude,
octopus.
You did those?
Yeah.
I remember those, the reversible ones, right?
Yeah.
Buy one, get four free. Oh shit, dude, okay, I'm familiar with that one, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy because I ran up 300K in my first 3 weeks on a TikTok brand, like ever. And this was right like the end of 2020, early 2021. And literally right after that, because I didn't watch YouTube, I should have, but like I didn't know about how Stripe and Shopify payments and PayPal were gonna react. Just instant bans everywhere. TikTok took the money. Like literally all of my bread was on hold for 6 months. And then PayPal actually just deleted my account and never gave anything back.
PayPal with a vengeance.
Swear to God.
Dude, I know I said this before in this podcast, but it's been like 3 years now, and I'm still waiting for my money, dude. I fucking hate PayPal.
That's crazy.
You can't transfer. You can't use your debit card. If you, like, one time I remember they froze my account for like 2 months because I put my PIN and they're like, I put one wrong number. They're like, security alert. I fucking hate PayPal. I don't know how the hell they're still in business, man.
I swear. But, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is like, so if you steal $10 million,
you're a king.
If you steal 10 million, you're going to jail. If you steal $1 billion, you're going to be elected president.
You ever heard the Russian saying, steal an apple, they cut off your hand. Rob a bank, they give you a statue in the town square.
No, I haven't.
I'm paraphrasing like a motherfucker,
Wow.
but it's an old Russian saying. But yes, that's exactly the sentiment. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, PayPal is getting a statue, 100%. He's been robbing so many of my friends blind. It's not even funny.
Did you see the guy on Instagram that got like 130K just like evaporated? And like
No.
they went and they looked at it, and literally the way that it was taken out was it was transferred between USD and Russian rubles like hundreds of times, and they were eating on the conversion. So every time that it was converted to Russian rubles, they would get money. Same thing as when it was converted back. And it literally just ran it all the way. They said like a hacker did it. We'll see.
Am I allowed to do this? Like, you fuck out of here, bro. Get out of here. This could be a hacker. Dude, no, seriously. Like, I know we can go on for hours. That's a whole other episode, by the way. Just the PayPal mafia. Like, it's horrible, dude. Like, I've had people just legitimately lose like 6 figures. You know, I didn't lose that many, thank God. But it's a few thousand. And I haven't gotten it back. It's been 3 years, dude. I'm still going back and forth with them.
That's crazy.
Oh, that's a whole conversation for another time. But let's get back to the topic at hand. Community is something like, so if you're watching this, something I wanted to touch on, and maybe it's because I've seen the results of it. But right now, community is all the rage. And a lot of companies are trying it. because it's fun, it's fad, kind of like BLM or like diversity and stuff. A lot of companies try to really like, oh my God, make themselves look like the best thing ever, and they keep falling flat because they keep missing the ingredients. So in my experience, communities that actually make it and flourish are those that, one, give you access, specifically access to certain types of people, right? Another thing that comes with that is the ease of use. So, for example, if I give you access to, Fulano here that does stocks, and that person then, shares their journey, very much like forums, it's, okay, how fast can you implement it, right? And there's a ritual to that, by the way. And then another key ingredient is social proof / social leverage, which social proof is if I'm doing something amazing like Wordle, slam dunk, they did this amazing. When you perform on Wordle, you can then share it. So you can show off. So those are some of the key ingredients that I've seen have made some of the most successful communities. Like StockX started as a Slack channel,
Really?
Yeah, it
No
started as a
way.
Slack channel, paid Slack channel. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Have you noticed similar things with communities that flourish?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen them turn into StockX, but that's amazing.
Yeah,
Wow.
dude, it started as a Slack channel, dude. For like they would just like sneaker drops, and like obviously it's different from when I was growing up, but yeah, they crushed it. It started as a Slack channel. It had a metamorphosis moment where it turned into what it is today. But in your experience, what are some of the communities that you're seeing right now that kind of have those elements and they're crushing it?
So, I mean, that's the thing. The growth is honestly the easy part.
Mm-hmm.
The retention is the hard part. I mean, obviously, we all saw Andrew Tate's community grow very, very fast. But one thing that, I guess I would have to put some thought into which communities specifically, but I guess one thing that people disregard are there are only a couple of things that really affect if a community is going to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And one is obviously that the people are getting the value that they're joining for.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's paid, whether it's free, they have to be getting the value that they're paying for. Second is a hierarchy. And this is the most important thing in building any social platform.
Like DAOs.
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially, like, if there's somebody above you, this is why, so the sneaker group I was talking about, I stayed in that group for, 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that? 2-3 years? Dude, if it wasn't for there being members with a higher role than me in that group, I would have left. But it was like, oh my God, I want to make $300K in a month and get that highest role, But it was just like,
oh, the incentive.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. What's a community? I mean, the sneaker. Are you allowed to mention the sneaker group?
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure. Well, it's called Endurance.
Okay.
But basically, I mean, well, I'm not sure. I'd have to catch up with the owner. I haven't talked to him, so it's been a few years. But no, I guess like what he built there was just so amazing. And he was like, I think 17 at the time or 18. Like,
Wow.
And he just built this, and he was making like, I'd assume because he had like 10,000 paid members. I would, and the lowest tier was like 50 a month or like 38 a month. So there were people paying like 150 a month to be in there. So I'd assume he was making a lot.
It's like $1 million community. Dude.
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
shit! Oh my God, that's amazing.
Well, and that's kind of what I guess like influenced me to change markets too, was just the fact that it didn't really matter how much money I was making in sneakers or anything in there. They also had they had sports betting. They had like trivia. You could like, it was literally like hack trivia. Like you had all the answers. It was, I swear to
That's
God.
funny.
But like I guess it was just seeing that I knew he was making like $1 million a month, and it was just off of everybody who was going to stay in with or without him. And I was like, holy shit. Like
Nice.
that's a completely different angle.
That's true.
But I don't know. I guess I've seen a lot of communities flourish, but you also see a lot die. And the reason they die is because one of those two things, that the hierarchy just isn't important, or like they're not giving value. And that's ultimately like not to call their community out, but Hustlers University, it literally like had 80,000 members, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure exactly what their retention is, but I'd assume it's quite low because I joined there and I went in the ad channel and somebody asked about TikTok ads and all of the mods were just making BS up. So I corrected them and they banned me because I corrected them. So
Wait, so you brought value,
yeah, and they banned
and their response was not to say, hey, you should join Hustlers Academy as a mentor. Their response was to gatekeep your ass and ban you.
Yeah, because they don't want value shared because then it undermines them. They don't want other people outside of the community to but that's it comes back to
That's their fuck up, though, because, like, we're in Miami, right? When I first got here, started working with the city, for example, and the old guard did that. And you know what's funny about that? They're all gone now. A lot of the people that I met here that were in office or had positions of power, they're all gone now, and they've been replaced by the U's. The people that were like, oh, I have an answer, and they're like, oh, shut the fuck up. Now that person is taking their place.
Well, and that I think it comes into, like, it's two things, right? Like, they don't want to lose their throne and their egos. Like, I'd assume to be a moderator in Hustlers University, they're probably both getting paid a lot, and they probably think they're a god. I mean, dude, they broke the internet.
Dude,
I mean,
with sad.
It is sad. It's very sad because they broke.
I'm important.
Well, and they broke the internet with a bunch of hate speech and a bunch of just BS, you know? So ultimately it's like, it is sad, but I mean, that's exactly the mentality. It's like, oh, I've got a higher role in a Discord. Oh, my name is a different color than yours. I'm a god.
When you hear that out loud, it's kind of funny when you're getting to hear. Yeah. So when building, I just wanted to recycle something we were talking about, because you and I have experience with communities. And I'm saying this to you as somebody who's been a growth hacker. And if you're not familiar with what growth hacking is, it's how Airbnb, Google, all these companies grow to where they are. And we focus on not only bringing you in, showing you a great time, but then bringing you back, because that lowers the cost of acquisition. To give you an example, if it costs me $10 to get you on a phone call, if it costs me $10 to sign you up, that's the cost of acquisition. So then the company would bring in a growth hacker to say, hey, can you get us to $3 to bring that person in? So what you want to look at is, if you ever are interested in building a community, or if you're in a community or have a community, here are the first 3 things that a growth hacker would tell you to focus on. And I'm gonna see if you co-sign on this. 1, personal growth. So if I'm part of a community, how is this helping me grow as a person, as an entrepreneur, as a career, whatever the fuck you want to call it? Number 2 is the connection. What does the connection look like? Like, something that Benny Bills brings up is something that we focus on. Is like, okay, if I'm in there, first, who do I have access to? And 2, when I have whomever I have access to, what is our relationship like? Is there a hierarchy where I can depend on them to deliver something? Is there a cadence or a ritual that's going to keep this thing rolling in a certain way? For example, I got into the cars and coffee community years ago. I knew, like clockwork, what was going to happen on what weekend. I knew what cars were going to show up. I knew what to expect. That's the cadence. And last but not least, does this community put you in a position to shine? So, for example, Cars and Community, Saturday Supercars, all these communities have the same thing in common. When you go, they highlight you. They give you love. They give you a platform. It's almost like they're like your own personal DJ Khaled, you know? So is your community your DJ Khaled? Is DJ Khaled like hyping you up in the background like, we the best? If it has those elements, then your community is not only going to do better, but it's also going to last a lot longer. What are your thoughts on that breakdown?
Dude, absolutely. I think I really like the last point too. The like DJ Khaled, right? Like, basically, I mean, being yeah, nice. Yeah,
there we go. There you go.
No, but being supportive to your community is just, it's crazy, because like I see so many of these people that own different communities, and they're literally just like talking about themselves, saying that they're the best. Dude, that's like the last thing I talk about in my community. Today, actually, I had something that it really influenced me. It influenced my day, and I think it's going to influence like how I'm going to be working over probably the next few months. I hopped on a call with one of my clients, and I actually felt bad because I didn't know that I felt that I wasn't giving enough value. And she cried on the call and told me how thankful she was.
Wow.
And like that, I swear to God, like that kind of stuff, like you don't get that unless you're actually like putting in the real like value and the real like giving people the reality, giving people what they deserve, you know? And I mean, in that scenario, like, dude, I swear, like, I feel like everything that I built, like, sometimes it feels like, you know, because I'm 19, you know, so sometimes I have that check where it's like, shit, I'm 19, I'm not where I want to be at. I told myself by 16 I was gonna be fucking a billionaire, like all this shit, right? But like, ultimately, I'm allowed to swear on this, right?
Are you kidding me, bro?
Okay,
You can fucking tap dance if you want to. I don't care.
No, ultimately, like it was a really big influence, and I think, and I'm not sure if this is too far from your question, but I think that's really what a lot of communities are missing.
That heart, that soul.
Yeah.
Sazón, as we say in Spanish. Why does that matter to you, though? Why does it matter to you to give? Well, as we say, de corazón. Why does it matter to you to give from the heart that way? Did you not have that when you were getting started?
No, I didn't. I had some, you know, some influences in my life that definitely held me back. But I think also it's that same kind of thought of like, you know, if there was a place where I could have got head started, then I probably would have had a lot easier of a start. And
True.
Also, I think part of it is just that, I mean, life is short. I've lost a lot of friends really young. The school I went to, there was 50 kids in my grade it was small, I'm from a small town. It was 50 kids in my grade when, like, all the way up till, I guess middle school, right? And then I switched schools and all that, but then I checked at the end, and 5 of them were gone. And I was like...
Where'd you grow up?
Michigan.
Okay.
A little small town.
Yeah.
But
Tim Allen would be proud of you. I couldn't help myself. Oh man,
no,
but that's what's up, man.
It was a huge influence too. Yeah. I'm really thankful that I had like my family around too. Yeah. That definitely. I think I do a lot of what I do for my mom.
I can definitely respect that. As someone who's slightly older than you, look, man, learn from my mistakes. Those time limits that you set on yourself, like you're like, oh, by 16, by 19, by 21, whatever. Ah, man, in Spanish you say, uno pone y Dios dispone. Basically, I understand that you have your plans, but plan on the plan not working all the time. You know, like if you tell yourself 19, honestly, life will be funny, man, and you won't get it till like you're 30, you know? And I say this because, like, you've got the long game in mind, man. Like, you really do. Like, there's only a few people I've met in my life that I've met, like, and then years later, I meet them all over again and see where they're at. Like, the way that you're approaching life and business right now, it's the exact same. Maybe instead of, like, the time limit, just have the big goal. And I think that you'll be, never mind proud of yourself, you're going to hit stratospheres that you'd have been like, whoa, what the fuck? You know, and the reason I'm saying this is because you already are applying something that has helped many a billionaire that I've ever met. But you also have the advantage that you've had a head start. A lot of people that are applying what you're applying didn't learn it until their 30s or their 40s or their 50s. So if you learned it at 19, hermano, I'm telling you right now, bro, by the time you're 30, you can be like, holy shit, this is amazing. I'm just letting you know from personal experience, man. I can't help it, man. I'm just letting you know right now. You figured it out at 19. You are leaps and bounds ahead of some of the people that I met that are now in their 50s and telling me, and I personally know them, they didn't figure this out until their 30s, bro. So you're ahead of the curve.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
You're ahead of the curve, man. Don't lose that strategy. Don't lose that heart, because I'm telling you, man, it's going to pay off in spades. And it's not going to be overnight. This is a compounding. You've heard of compounding before?
Oh, yeah.
This is compounding, bro. Like, the social proof that you've achieved is something that a company will literally pay people like me 6 figures to create. So you've got the juice. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't let anything else blind you, man. Just keep running with that, man. Because by the time you're 30, I'm telling you right now, think 10 years ahead of time. Like, something I love that I learned from Jeff Bezos is that he makes decisions for his company based on 10 years later. What will matter to people in 10 years, right? dude, you already got that figured out. You already got that figured out, man. Like the way you're approaching right now, you can obviously have your cash flow from here and there, but that long game, oh, bro, that's where it is. Yeah, not to get all preachy, but this is just experience talking to you right now.
Well, dude, it's like I think it's one of those things that I feel very lucky that stuff has, because I'm not gonna lie, like even without the community, even without like, you know, some of the other stuff that I have going on, like I still have done very well for myself very young. But I think also like when I think back to kind of how I ended up growing up, and then how, like, you know, when I was like 16, I already knew school and everything, for me anyway, was kind of bullshit. So so
fuck you, Rockefeller.
Yeah, so I guess like if it wasn't for that, and if it wasn't for some of the people that I lost, some of the people that I knew and like saw, and like always hanging around with the older crowd a little bit, I think I definitely wouldn't be where I'm at now. So
that's what's up, man. That's what's up. I know that we're talking all over the place, but who is someone that you felt has taught you, or you've learned from, maybe you don't even know personally, that you feel is, one, underrated, and two, has taught you an amazingly priceless lesson?
So there's a guy who lives here. You might want to get him on one of these podcasts. His name's Ezra Corsi. Legend.
Ezra
Corsi.
Oh, Corsi, okay.
He owns a agency, but he told me this when it was at a time when I was focusing on so much stuff that like I was doing 10% on everything and nothing was working, right? And he said, when you say yes to one thing, you say no to everything else. And so I basically, that's when I quit a lot of other stuff and focused really intensely.
I respect that.
And he's also, dude, man is a legend. But I definitely really respect him a lot. I really respect Luca Netz. I really respect.
Oh yeah, dude, I love Luca. He was here.
Yeah,
dude, I love Luca. I had that moment of like, yeah, fuck yeah, I see it. Yeah, I can see why you like Luca.
He's a legend. We're partners in a couple of businesses and stuff.
What?
So
dude, I can see why you like him.
Yeah, he's a legend,
I can
man.
totally see why you like him. He came in here. It was hilarious because he came in with like shades. He's like just walking into our offices, and then like he sat there and like he just started like word vomit. It was awesome. It was awesome. It was a good time. Luca was a good time.
Game too.
Yeah, Luca was a good time, dude. I'm actually looking forward to like seeing him again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude, what the fuck? If that's the case, let's all have fucking lunch. If that's the case.
Yeah. No,
yeah. Yeah, he was a good time. He to me is one of those people that's gonna just. I don't know if I'm being too generous here, because I don't know how he wants to do. I don't know what his plans are for the long term, but he's got that Bill Gates energy, dude. Like he's got like that underrated. I don't give a fuck.
Oh yeah.
But the chess moves that he's got in place, like I could totally see that guy hitting $1 billion.
That's really what it is at a certain point. It's chess moves.
Yeah.
I know it was the second part of the title, leverage plays.
Yeah.
Dude. Literally at a certain point, I mean, I just met this guy. He's worth $500 million. He's like an older guy. He's like 60 something, right? But I was talking to him, and he was like, "Hey, you know how I got $3 million a month in cash flow just like a few months ago?" And I was like,
"Tell me more."
How? Yeah. And he does zero work for this. He literally, he went to Dubai. He met a guy that needed sugar cane. And then he went, I'm not sure where, somewhere that had a lot of sugar cane. I think it was in South America somewhere. But he went to this specific farm, and he basically made a deal with them. The guy is paying him $9 million. He's paying $5 million, and it's costing him like almost $1 million to move it all to Dubai.
Oh,
so
wow.
He's just making $3 million, basically
Arbitrage.
drop shipping.
Drop shipping
sugarcane.
Dude, well, that is the cool thing when you have certain capital, is that you get to make those moves, and it's just like nothing, bro. It's like a few phone calls, maybe a private jet charter, and then all of a sudden you got $3 million cash flow. I love that stuff. I'm a huge fan of that stuff.
Exactly.
But speaking of leverage, I know we're about to wrap up, but like speaking of leverage, like what are some of the ways that you've noticed in the last 12 months that leverage has been not only your best friend, but something you're going to double down on?
Well, I've it's taught me a lot, like seeing other people like do some heavy leverage plays. It's taught me a lot about how people can easily control other people's minds. So it definitely taught me how to stay away from shady business and to know if I'm about to get fucked. And it also taught
Precaution.
me,
Yeah.
well, and it also taught me how to put myself into the right rooms and meet the right people. And I think just moving forward, I mean, stuff like this, you know, like I love doing this. I love giving stuff away for free. I love, you know, seeing the smiles and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So this kind of stuff has really gave me the connections to leverage in different ways. But I don't like to do it in ways, I like to do it in ways that everyone's happy. Because then that way it's like,
wins.
yeah, exactly. Like all it takes is one bad thing on your name and you could be gone. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude, like you could spend like a whole decade building your reputation. One fucked up play,
Exactly.
it's like, oh, that's it. It's done. You're fucked. Like now you have to like basically the burden of proof is on you now. Like, oh, like I'm not that guy, I'm not that person, blah, blah, blah. I mean, for that reason alone, Miami has been a very dangerous and fun animal at the same time. Is because like you'll meet people here, like they got the car, they got the Rolex, they got the look, and they sell this facade, and then like you find out like they live in an efficiency, and like they're just scamming everybody that they come into contact with. You know, so it's a funny city in that regard.
Well, this
Not
is
here.
literally the scam city.
It really is. All these towers are built by Coke money, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah, dude.
Exactly, man.
It's the American dream personified. Is how I look at Miami. Because like, look at the Kennedys, dude. They started off with $1 million, bootleggers. Then they bought their dynasty. You know, same thing with the Bush family. Exactly same thing. Government contractors bought the dynasty.
I mean, if you scam $1 billion, you get elected president, right?
Oh shit, that's a conversation for another time. But that is a funny part about that. I mean, like we can keep. There's so many examples that we can think of people who did exactly that. They bought their dynasty. Like, if you look at nonprofits, you look at museums, it was all done for that exact reason. You make your money illegally, and then you wash it with like donations and charities, and you know all this other stuff.
Make it seem like you're a really good person.
Yeah, you could definitely buy that, man. But all right, so. We're going to keep talking after this episode, by the way, but as we're wrapping up, some things to take from Benny Bills' experience is we started the conversation with the whole idea of community. I know that the title was It Takes a Village, and here's why that's important. So I understand that you have your skills, your talents, all this other stuff that's going on, all these bright ideas, but there is something called the curse of knowledge. The curse of knowledge is this. How many times have you talked to somebody who is really good at what they do, and then they look at you like you're dumb because you don't know it too? That's the curse of knowledge at play. Now, whether you might realize it or not, a lot of us tend to do the exact same thing. What comes easy to you does not come easy to everyone else. So we kind of block our blessings in that regard. What that looks like and what that means like for you is this. A lot of the stuff that you're good at and you're skilled at and talented at, all your experiences. Let's say you've been doing something for 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. Write it down. Journal your journey. Then start to notice who actually doesn't know that and who can benefit from learning from your experiences, right? Then from there, you start to look at what communities exist in present day that you can contribute the most to. Go and find them. You're talking about Reddit, forums, technically Instagram and Facebook fall into that category, but I guess because I'm not a fan, fuck them. Look at TikTok. All these things are going to give you the ability to share that journey with people. And if you're not comfortable on camera, then you could do voiceover. You can write. Fuck, you can sing. You could do voiceover work if you want. But the whole idea is to put it out there and see who actually connects with it. Then Benny Bill starts to get into another topic, which when it comes to building a community and the ones that work, they all have very similar elements. And those elements are, and we definitely resonate on this, is, okay, what does it help you achieve? So what that looks like is this. If you're going to join one or if you're going to build one, you want to look at what are the 3 things that this thingamajig helps me do, have, and become. Okay? That's the personal growth side. After that, you translate that over to, okay, who does that put me in the room with? So that could be a Discord channel, a Slack channel, a forum, a group chat on WhatsApp. Who does it put me in proximity to and connection with? And then last but not least, the real sauce of it is this the DJ Khaled to my artist? Does this community celebrate your wins? Does it share those wins? Is this community a stage? So a lot, for example, if you watch Shark Tank or like America's Got Talent, the reason that people really go on those stages is because they know they're going to be on TV. That's their stage. So does this community put you in a position to shine? And last but not least, as we're like wrapping things up, is what does that all mean for leverage? That once you have all these elements and everything's running copacetically, what can you do with that? Can you basically celebrate, or can it get you into certain rooms, the fact that you're a part of this community, the fact that you have access to these certain people, and the fact that you've grown this much? Have I kind of grasped what you were laying down?
Yeah.
All right.
I think so, absolutely.
Perfect. So now I want to give you the floor, man. I want to ask you a question, personal side. In the last 12 months, what's something you're proud of, something you'd love to celebrate about your achievements?
Mm-hmm. I'm really proud of the growth that I've seen in both my companies and the people around me's companies, the people that I've seen grow from, where they were just starting to where they're at now, which, I mean, it's a really beautiful thing.
Fuck yeah. And I know I said that was the last thing, but I guess I can't help but ask, when it comes to communities, what's a community you love to shout out and show love to? And what's a community that you feel has, let's start it first. What's a community right now that you'd love to show love to?
I mean, I got to say my own.
Which one is that?
The Glitch Court.
Glitch Court. And what's a opportunity gap? You're familiar with that term because you like exploits. What's an opportunity gap right now that you feel somebody can come in and just create a real community around?
I want to see somebody. Well, that's a really hard question.
Those are the best ones.
Yeah, I guess I really would find it useful. I mean, obviously we're providing tax and credit help, but I would find it very useful if somebody centered a community around that.
Taxes. You heard that? So if you're really good at taxes, if you're a tax attorney, a probate lawyer, a CPA, there might be an opportunity gap there for you to fill.
There you go. Because, I mean, honestly, here's the thing. It's all these kids making all this money. No regard. Literally. Dude, when I asked...
They're taking money into their personal accounts these days, bro. Cash apping each other.
Exactly. And I asked, like, a ton of people on a call, who in here has, done their taxes this year? Who has... And, like, dude, 2 people responded. There was, like, 150 people in that call. Like, nobody's...
This is why Biden hired 87,000 agents.
Exactly.
Holy shit, dude. That's scary.
Yeah.
That's scary.
And a lot of them are doing, like, negative opt-in rebills. They're drop scamming. They're doing all this stuff. Because that's the thing. I used to think it was 1 out of 10 people in this community were scammers. Dude, it's like 1 out of 2. It's like literally, shit. And it's like if they're not a scammer yet, they're going to become one when they see how much money they can make. And then they don't realize it, but it's extremely illegal. And it's going to come back like time and again in the future. Shit. And it's honestly, it's kind of sad seeing where a lot of it's gone. But it's also like that's kind of why they need guidance. I mean, again, a lot of them are kids, Well,
I wish them luck and much success. As we wrap up, something for you to take with you is, and maybe it's for the outliers that I've met, the pattern that I keep noticing is, if you focus on building and fostering your vibe, the tribe is just a symptom of that. Kind of like when you have a great onboarding process and a great product and great product market fit, the sales are a symptom. It's exactly the same thing. I understand that things are the way they are right now, and you might be in a certain place where you're kind of like questioning, should I go? You have 0 to lose, really. I mean, we're talking to a literal 19-year-old who keeps trying and experimenting and failing over and over, which is tuition if we're being honest with each other. And today they're a byproduct, and they're seeing the return on investment on just consistently experimenting. So I hope you take these things that we're laying down with you and you run with them. In fact, I encourage you and invite you to share with us some of your journey. If you've had a success, if you've had a failure, let us know. We'll talk about it. We'll feature here, and even in conversations and in questions that we ask our guests. So, just to recap one more time, Active Minds podcast, and what we're looking to achieve here is to explore and learn through the people that are paving their own way. Shit's not sweet out here. It's only going to get worse, but the cool thing about solving problems is the bigger problems you solve, the more you get rewarded. And that's exactly why we have fun with exploring how his experiences translate to lessons we can learn and overall move smarter together. I want to give a huge thanks to Vegan Gummies and Hands Free Automation for being a huge supporter and partner in this machine, keeping it running, keeping it growing. And want to give a huge thank out to Benny Bills as well for sharing his experiences and his perspectives with us and being a good sport. You've been a good sport, man. This has been Active Minds. I've been Catriel C. Sarfati. See you next time.
So guys, as we're wrapping up, we want to remind you that we have our membership program now available on ActiveMindsClub.com.
ActiveMindsClub.com. Grab yourself a seat. See you there.